If you think you know what weddings look like, wait until you hear about Amish weddings. No photographer snapping pictures, no first kiss at the altar, no honeymoon to an exotic beach. Just 400 people crammed into a barn, eating chicken and stuffing at 9 in the morning, and a celebration that lasts from sunrise until midnight. I'm Sarah, an ex-Amish girl from Pennsylvania, and today I'm taking you inside the traditions that make Amish weddings completely unlike anything you've ever experienced. Let me start with something that would shock most modern couples. Amish engagements are secret, completely secret. You could be planning your wedding for months, and your best friend, your neighbors, even most of your extended family wouldn't know. The only people who know are your immediate family and maybe a few very close friends. You're not posting about it on social media. You're not throwing an engagement party. You're not even casually mentioning it in conversation. You keep it locked down tight. And here's why. In Amish culture, there's a formal process called getting published. About 6 to 8 weeks before your wedding, the bishop stands up at the end of church service and announces your wedding date to the entire congregation. That's the moment everyone finds out. Families from both the bride and groom's side make sure to attend that church service so they can share in the excitement. It's called being published, and until that moment, technically nobody's supposed to know. Now I say technically because let's be honest, secrets don't always stay secret. In some communities, there's actually a calendar hanging in the back of the local store where couples can put a sticker on their chosen wedding date. This prevents two weddings from being scheduled on the same day, which would be a logistical nightmare. So, yeah, sometimes word gets out early, but most people are kind enough not to spread it further. My sisters never really cared if it wasn't a total surprise. The relief of finally being able to talk openly about your wedding day after keeping it secret for so long is huge. Now let's talk about when Amish weddings happen, because it's not what you'd expect. Wedding season used to be strictly after the harvest, October through March, when farm work slows down. October was traditionally the most popular month, but times have changed. Now weddings happen pretty much year-round, and June has become very popular, just like in the English world. But here's what hasn't changed much. Most Amish weddings are still held on Tuesdays or Thursdays, not Saturdays like you'd expect. Why Thursdays? Honestly, most Amish people can't even tell you. It's just tradition. The best explanation I've heard goes back to the 1800s when people had to travel long distances by horse and buggy. If the wedding was on Thursday, guests could travel from far away without missing their home church service on Sunday. They'd have time to get there, attend the wedding, and get back. Also, many Amish businesses close on Thursdays, so work doesn't interfere with weddings. Saturdays are avoided because the day after the wedding is used for cleanup, and you can't do that on Sunday, which is reserved for worship and rest. And when I say the day lasts from sunrise to midnight, I mean it literally. A typical Amish wedding day starts at 4 o'clock in the morning. Yes, 4 a.m. Because even on your wedding day, the cows still need to be milked and all the daily farm chores still need to be done. By 8 or 8:30 in the morning, guests start arriving. The ceremony begins around 9 a.m. and doesn't wind down until noon. That's a 3 to 3.5 hour church service. No quick 20-minute ceremony. You're sitting on backless wooden benches for hours, listening to sermons in Pennsylvania Dutch, singing hymns from the Ausbund, the oldest Anabaptist hymn book. The wedding is usually held at the bride's family home, and I'm not talking about a small gathering, anywhere from 300 to 600 guests. Sometimes they have to build a temporary structure just to fit everyone. They'll remove all the furniture from the house, set up rows and rows of wooden benches, men on one side, women on the other, arranged from oldest to youngest. It's a massive undertaking. During the ceremony, there's no walking down the aisle to music, no photographer capturing the moment, no first kiss at the altar. The bishop takes the couple aside privately while the congregation sings, counsels them on marriage, and then brings them back to exchange vows. The vows are simple, similar to traditional English wedding vows, promising to care for each other in sickness and health. And that's it. You're married. Now let's talk about the food, because Amish weddings are legendary for their meals. There are actually 3 meals served throughout the day. The morning meal right after the ceremony around noon, an afternoon meal, and then a big wedding supper in the evening. Traditional Amish wedding food includes roast chicken, a chicken and stuffing casserole called roasht, mashed potatoes and gravy, creamed celery, homemade noodles, coleslaw, homemade bread, and then dessert. Oh, the dessert. Pies, donuts, cakes, cookies. Tables absolutely loaded with sweets. And here's something interesting. Celery shows up everywhere at Amish weddings. It's part of the meal, it's used as table decorations, it's incorporated into the decor. Why celery? Traditionally, celery symbolizes fertility in Amish culture, so it's included for good luck. But practically speaking, beautiful green celery also makes for inexpensive and pretty table decoration. So you see celery stalks standing in vases on every table. With so many guests, people eat in shifts. The newlyweds and their immediate families eat first, then the older guests, then the younger folks. Unmarried young men and women serve as table waiters, and it's considered an honor to be asked to serve. It's also an honor to be asked to cook for the wedding, even though it's an enormous amount of work. Speaking of work, preparing food for 300 to 600 people is no joke. Here's what a typical Amish wedding grocery list looks like for 350 guests: 300 pounds of roast, 60 loaves of bread, 300 pounds of potatoes, 60 heads of celery, dozens of chickens, gallons and gallons of gravy. And that's just the main meal. You still need all the ingredients for the pies, cakes, side dishes, and the evening supper. Community women come together weeks before the wedding to help with food preparation. It truly takes a village. Now, there's a relatively modern innovation that's made life easier: the wedding wagon. This is essentially a mobile kitchen that Amish families can rent for weddings. These wagons are equipped with industrial-sized pots, pans, ovens, and enough utensils to feed an army. Before wedding wagons existed, families had to borrow every dish, spoon, and cooking pot from neighbors and relatives. They'd be commandeering ovens from multiple households. The wedding wagon has simplified things tremendously. Let's talk about what the bride and groom wear, because it's nothing like what you'd see at an English wedding. Amish brides don't wear white. Well, sometimes they do, but it's not the standard. Brides often choose pastels like blue, purple, green, or even mustard yellow. The dress is simple, long-sleeved, with a white cape and apron. It looks very similar to the dresses Amish women wear every Sunday to church, just a bit nicer. And here's something touching. Some Amish women choose to be buried in the dress they were married in. It represents one of the most important days of their life. The groom wears a black suit with a white shirt, and here's the kicker: he wears a bow tie or necktie. This is literally the only day in his entire life that an Amish man will wear a tie. After the wedding, he'll never wear one again. And once he's married, he starts growing his beard, which he'll keep for the rest of his life. Married Amish men have beards. Single men don't. That's how you tell the difference. There's a special spot at the wedding called the Eck. That's the Pennsylvania Dutch word for corner. It's a decorated corner of the wedding room where the bride and groom sit. The Eck has the wedding cake, flowers, and decorations celebrating the couple's union. And yes, the Amish do have wedding cakes. How elaborate the cake is depends on the community. Some are quite simple, others are surprisingly fancy. There's usually one main cake and then several side cakes, smaller cakes placed around the room, because with so many guests you need a lot of cake. Here's an interesting tradition. In some communities, the wedding rings are baked into the wedding cake. Whoever finds a ring in their slice wins a prize, and about those rings, practices vary. At some Amish weddings I attended, rings were exchanged during the ceremony, but they're never worn afterward. Amish don't wear jewelry, including wedding rings, so the rings are exchanged as a symbolic gesture and then tucked away. After the ceremony and the noon meal, the afternoon is filled with socializing, singing hymns, and games. Volleyball is huge in Amish communities, and you'll see nets set up in the yard with young people playing game after game. There's no dancing, no alcohol, no DJ playing music, just simple, wholesome entertainment. Singing is a big part of the celebration, with groups gathering to sing hymns and traditional songs. As evening approaches, the wedding supper is served. This is another elaborate meal, and the celebration continues late into the night. By the time everything winds down, it's often close to midnight. Everyone is exhausted, but it's a joyful exhaustion. Now here's what happens next, and this is nothing like a typical honeymoon. The newlyweds spend their first night as a married couple in the bride's parents' home. The next morning, they wake up early and help with the cleanup from the wedding. Extended family comes back to help carry benches, wash dishes, put furniture back, and restore the house to normal. It's all hands on deck, including the bride and groom. There's no honeymoon to Hawaii or Europe. Some couples might visit relatives in other Amish settlements over the next few weeks, but mostly they stay in the community and immediately begin their married life. They start setting up their household, taking on their roles as a married couple within the church community. In my sister Verina's case, when she got married, they built living quarters in the pole barn so she'd still be close to help with family. That's pretty common. You stay near family, you stay in the community. That's just how it works. One thing people always ask: can non-Amish people attend Amish weddings? The answer is yes, but usually only close friends. The church service itself is typically for church members only, but the ceremony where vows are exchanged and the meals are sometimes open to close English friends. If you're invited, you'd be expected to dress modestly, refrain from taking photos, and understand that the service will be in Pennsylvania Dutch, but you'd experience the warmth and hospitality that Amish communities are known for. Let's talk about the cost, because Amish weddings are shockingly inexpensive compared to modern American weddings. The average American wedding costs over $30,000. An Amish wedding, maybe a few thousand at most. Why? Because there's no commercial venue rental. It's held at home. There's no professional catering. Community members provide the food and service. There's no professional photography, no DJ, no expensive floral arrangements. Decorations are simple and use natural materials like celery. The bride often makes her own dress or has a family member make it. Everything is done within the community, by the community. I'll be honest. When I was Amish, I both loved and dreaded weddings. Loved them because they were joyful celebrations, a chance to see everyone, eat amazing food, and witness two people starting their lives together. Dreaded them because they were exhausting, the long ceremony on hard benches, the heat in a packed barn, the sheer amount of work involved if you were helping with food preparation or serving. But looking back now, having left the Amish community, I see the beauty in it. These weddings weren't about impressing anyone or creating the perfect Instagram moment. They were about community, about coming together to support two people entering into a lifelong commitment. Every dish prepared, every bench set up, every hour spent helping was an act of love from the community saying, "We're here for you. We'll support you. You're not alone in this." That sense of communal support, that's something modern weddings have largely lost. Sure, you might have a big reception with 200 guests, but how many of those people actually helped prepare the food, set up the venue, or will show up the next day to help clean up? In Amish culture, everyone pitches in. Marriage isn't just a union of two people, it's the community embracing a new couple and pledging ongoing support. So, are Amish weddings drastically different from what you're used to? Absolutely. No fancy venue, no photographer, no dancing, no honeymoon. But they're rich in tradition, community, and genuine celebration. And honestly, after attending modern weddings since I left, I sometimes miss the simplicity and authenticity of those long Amish wedding days, even if they did start at 4 in the morning.